Our speaker for today is a highly sought after resource person of the Department of Education on different platforms for online learning. He is also the principal of Centro Escolar University, Manila, Makati, Malolos, and Las Piñas campuses. He finished his bachelor's degree of science in entrepreneurial management in Polytechnic University of the Philippines and a recipient of Governor Josefina M. de la Cruz Award of Excellence in Leadership and Vice Governor Aurelio S. Flamenco Award of Excellence. He also earned a graduate certificate in professional teacher education in May Kawayan College, which then led him to being a licensed professional teacher. After that, he pursued his post-baccalaureate studies in computer information and technology and master's degree of science in information technology in PUP Manila. Aside from that, he took another master's degree of science in information technology in St. Linus University in Rosso, Commonwealth of Dominica, West Indies, America. Currently, he is pursuing his doctorate degree in educational management in PUP Manila. Now, aside from his impressive educational background, he was able to take part in journals and researches, having published 4 papers at a given year. His papers were presented and published on international conferences in Malaysia, Japan, Cambodia, and Thailand. At present, he is an accredited member of the International Association of Computer Science and Information Technology and serves as a senior member of the Royal Institute of Information Technology in Singapore. Now, without further ado, join me in welcoming Mr. Jay-Arr Tayao on our digital stage. A warm round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, Sir Aldrin, for that kind introduction. Medyo kinakabahan po dahil sa introduction na ginawa ni Sir Aldrin. Anyways, thank you very much, Shanghai Shek College, specifically the Center for Continuing Professional Education, headed by our head, Dr. Imelda Neri, my former co-escolarian from CEU Manila, and of course the Vice President of Shanghai Shek College, Sir Judy Up. Our participants and other schools officials from different colleges and universities and schools in Metro Manila and Chinese schools in Manila that was invited by Dr. Neri for this afternoon event. So let me share my screen, sir. I am allowed now to share my screen.
Yes, sir, please do try it again. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see now my screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the topic that was given to me by the Center for Continuing and Professional Education, it's a broad topic actually. It has this was included in the digital citizen track of the Microsoft Education to become a global citizen. But since the talk is limited only in 3 topics, I decided to make a two-part of the presentation. So later I will show you the two-part of this talk, and I believe that majority of our participants are teachers also, in not only in the basic education but also in the graduate school and in the tertiary level. And currently they are taking their graduate studies leading to master's degree and doctorate degree. So allow me to share you the topic for this afternoon. It's about digital etiquette, rights and responsibilities among schools and communities, and the digital health and wellness for digital citizen, which is the one of the main concern in this time of pandemic or in this time of the new normal in education. Marami pong what we call na-stress, or some of them naririnig natin sa news na nagkakaroon ng depression because of this pandemic and this the new normal setup in our education. So the topic, since communication via email as one of our due and cost-effective form of communication in this uh, new normal in education, and most effective ease of access, has become a prevalent channel of communication. And dealing with the netiquette issues, which is one of our topic, the concept of what we call e-politeness. So dati po pinag-uusapan natin yung maging polite lang tayo. Now, in the digital world and in the world of computing era, we have the word called e-politeness has grown immensely and significantly, particularly among language learners. So kung meron po tayong mga English teachers dito, maybe some of them will be able to understand what I'm talking about. So this is mainly because the netiquette of any particular online group embodies the culture and values of that group. I know Chiang Kai-shek College has their own distinct feature and strategy about this new normal in education, how their students able to cope up with this new normal, of course with the guiding principle of the institution. And at convenience brought, the computer mediated communication does not guarantee effective as an intercultural communication. So therefore, to maintain a successful communication, one should have practical knowledge of norms of behavior and adhere to the specific patterns of social interactions and etiquette rules. Withstanding the concern of the entire international rules that has been formulated without a consideration about the three concept, which is the belief, the culture, and the comfort of all stakeholders if language learner aim being successful communicators. They have to become familiar with the online culture of target language they are learning. So therefore, one of the most widespread electronic communication tools in our 21st century education now and in the new normal of education is the email communication. And in order to avoid a misinterpretation of the report on the side of the recipient, it is need to pay attention of writing email messages as well as their content. So kanina po nabanggit po ni Sir Jude na uh, majority of us are communicating now using an email because majority of us are working at home because of this pandemic. And with the continuous expansion of the use of electronic communication, there have been gradually developed certain rules of what we call etiquette in the electronic communications. The uh, the existing rules or the new communication environment such as media, and the word netiquette was created in combining the words net from the network and etika, which is in a Greek word, a set of rules or social behavior and habits. So netiquette constitutes the rules of behavior in the use of network and merely unwritten set of rules. So they are not using, can be understood as a type of disrespect, analysis of knowledge of domestic and foreign sources, as well as the result of survey confirmed as justification of paying attention to the education sector of individuals and an etiquette as a respective degree of education. So therefore, in for this afternoon talk, we divided our talk into two parts. The first part is the manners in the education world, which is combining the digital etiquette, rights, and responsibilities. Then, at the end of this talk, we will be able to understand the ethics and etiquette for electronic mail or electronic communications, the basic rules of netiquette, so the what we call the intellectual honesty, rights, and responsibility in the era of computing, and the role of netiquette in education, and the 10 commandments of computer technology. While for the part two, uh, I I give you the 10 tips to use technology to manage your well-being as part of the health and wellness program for this new normal in education. So once again, good afternoon. Let me start my talk for the part one. So the first part is towards an ethics and etiquette for electronic mail and electronic communication. As early 1985, I was 1 year old during that time, and I belong to the Generation Z and some sort of Xennial. Some yung generation. I know some of our participants here are belongs also to the different types of generation. According to Anderson and Shapiro, they define the basic rules of net communication in their book Towards an Ethic and Etiquette for Electronic Mail. So, can you see, as early 1985, meron na po tayong mga nakaset na ethics and etiquette for electronic mail. But here in the Philippines, dahil we belong to the developing country, ngayon lang nagmamaterialize yung ating paggamit talaga ng mga technology. I remember during 2000, nung bago mag-millennium, hindi pa talaga ganon ka-extend ang paggamit ng mga Filipino when it comes to the internet. But of course, kapag nag-aral ka sa mga pribadong eskwelahan or private schools, most of the schools, especially in Manila, they have the computer laboratory enable for the student to experience the technology of internet. So according to them, the basic rules of net communications include: so number one, we should remember, create a single subject message whenever possible. So every time that we create an email, make sure that we put a subject on that particular message. And assume that any message you send it is permanent. So parang sinasabi nila in an email, once you send it, there is no turning back. Hindi nyo na po pwedeng bawiin na sasabihin ninyong ibalik sa inyo yung message na isinend ninyo sa mga receiver ng message. For example, nangyayari yan kung you send a message, then nakita mo mali pala yung na-send mo na attachment. So magkakaroon ka ng tinatawag na parang addendum. So you inform the receivers of those messages na there is a new message with the addendum with the previous message. And have in mind a model of your intended audience. So keep the list of the recipients and CCs to minimum. So make sure na yung papadala natin ng message natin ay yung mga intended recipients lang ng ating message or email message. CC means carbon copy. Like for example, in a company or in a school, if you're asking for an approval online using an email, for example, in the case of the faculty of Dr. Neri under the Center for Continuing Professional Education asked for an approval for a certain project. Of course, may kino-course itong mga designees dun sa eskwelahan. So, ang una muna niyang papadalan yung immediate supervisor niya. Then, if Dr. Neri will able to recommend this letter to the higher up, isisisi na lang niya yung nagpadala sa kanya ng message. So, ang minsan po kasi nagiging pagkakamali ng mga nagsasend ng message, yung lahat na nandun sa letter niya, sinesend niya na kagad. So, hindi nagiging proper yung channeling nung pagsasend natin ng messages sa email. So, especially today, yung mga schools officials natin, maybe mga 100 plus of email messages yung natatanggap nila every day sa kanilang inbox. And we should separate opinion from non-opinion and clearly label each. So if you must express emotions in a message, clearly label it. That is really important. So think about the level of formality you put in a message. Identify yourself as your affiliation clearly. I know in school, if our student ay nire-require natin na maglagay ng kanilang picture for their email account, of course, the teacher has to do it also. And every time that we send our message to our students or to our colleagues and to the school officials, we put our email signature below the message. So kino-configure natin yun dun sa email natin, whether anong platform yung gamit-gamit natin, whether it's an Outlook from Microsoft, Gmail, and Yahoo Mail and other email platform kung meron mang ginagamit pa yung mga ibang schools na ibang platform. So identify yourself and be selective in the broadcast for information. Most especially po ngayon, kapag nagsasend tayo ng message, there is a disclaimer always on below the message in compliant to the what we call the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So, of course, ang nagsaset po niyan, ang naglalagay niyan para mailagay do sa mga messages natin, yung Information and Communications Technology Office ng ating organization. So do not insult or criticize third parties without giving them a chance to respond. Ayan. So importante po 'yon. Then, a similar rules of netiquette were published by other authors named Shea in 1994. Netiquette extends basic rules of netiquette with regards to other digital rights and responsibilities. So, I know most of us know how to email, know how to answer email, how to acknowledge or to reply for a certain email. But sometimes, nakakalimutan natin yung pertaining netiquette on that and the our responsibility on that particular message or communication that we receive. So remember the human. Remember, kapag nagsasend po tayo ng email, kahit yan ay electronically na tinatawag natin, tao pa din po yung kausap natin. So, the most important thing na kailangan po nating malaman every time that we send message, especially in our mobile phone when sending a text messages or a chat using a social media account, 'di ba? We avoid typing the letters in all caps because when you type in all caps, parang ang connotation natin doon, we are shouting on that particular person na magre-receive ng message natin. So adhere to the same standards of behavior online. So it is really important that every schools, every organization, what type of industry they provide what we call yung ating policies and uh, procedures or policies and standards when it comes to behavior online to their company. So in our school, hindi naman siya tinatawag na policy and guidelines. Kumbaga parang may set lang kami ng guidelines and policies natin ng panggamit ng email. So for example, we are using Office 365 technology for our ano. So every faculty has is entitled for a 100 up to 100 terabyte of storage capacity dun sa cloud. So of course, since you are affiliated in a school or in an organization, wag mo naman gawing parang repository or databases ng mga downloaded movies mo yung cloud na binigay sa iyo ng organization or binigay ng school because the technology given to you is intended for the school kung ano man yung mga trabahong ginagawa mo dun sa eskwelahan. And of course, ganun din po sa company. I remember when I work in an industry na hindi po school, every time that we go to the operations, yung aming cellphone po, iniiwanan namin sa locker. So, nahawakan lang namin siya every time that we had our 15-minute break in the morning and our lunch break, something like that. Hindi namin pwedeng dalhin yung mga devices namin and gadgets namin sa operations. And even yung aming email, hindi namin siya pwedeng gamitin na pang-email sa outside. But now, from time to time nababago kasi. Now po ang kalakaran natin, hindi natin inire-recognize ang isang tao na nagsasend sa atin ng email if walang affiliation ng organization na belong siya yung domain na ginamit niya in sending that email. So like for example po no, Chiang Kai-shek College, so .edu.ph. So CKS C.edu.ph. So yun po yung domain for example. So respect other people time and bandwidth. Yung bandwidth naman is not an issue in an email. Maybe this is an issue for video conferencing and other video conferencing platform. So just to give you an idea, sa according to the study, ang pinakamataas pong kumain ng bandwidth ng internet ay Zoom at saka ang Google Meet. Ang isa sa mga pinakatipid daw po ay Cisco Webex at saka Microsoft Teams. But of course, depending on the organization of what type of technology and platform that they are using. Kasi depende po yan kung ano yung gusto ng organization and approve ng nasa higher management. So make sure that yourself is look good online. So ito, kasama po ito sa sinasabi natin sa mga students natin when they're attending their virtual meeting or their synchronous meeting with their professors and their teachers. At make their self look good when kasi it is same also na may nakakaharap tayong tao na personally. Sa online, ganun din po. Kahit nga po sa online, maraming mga standards na sineset. Kailangan ganito yung background mo, kailangan walang daan sa likod mo. So something like that. So share your expert knowledge and help keep flame wars under control. So respect other people's privacy. So I think every schools is a compliant to the what we call the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So hindi po tayo nagpo-forward basta-basta ng mga email messages coming from our colleagues or coming from the management kung ang intended recipient or receiver nung ating message ay wala naman siyang kinalaman. So don't abuse your power and be forgiving on other people's mistake. So the use of a network is a privilege, so not a right, which may be temporarily revoked. So as I had mentioned a while ago, if you are working in a company, a private industry, or in an educational institution, meron silang tinatawag na domain for their coming from their official website. So like for example, in our case, our domain it's at ceu.edu.ph. So of course, may privilege kang magamit yung technology na yan, yung email platform na yan kapag nandoon ka pa. Pero once you leave the institution or once you leave the company, of course, the Information and Communications Technology Office will deactivate your account. Hindi mo na siya magagamit. Kasi hindi ka na part ng organization sa madaling salita. And of course, as I mentioned also a while ago, anytime for abusive conduct. So like for example, because ang bilis ng internet connection natin, we always downloaded movies from the internet or from a certain website dahil wala tayong particular secondary storage na mapaglalagyan. So as I said kanina po na gagamitin natin yung cloud storage na binigay sa atin ng school kasi 1 terabyte yung allotted sa atin. So, doon ko na lang ilalagay yung mga movie that I downloaded. Of course, kung ang company po at ang isang eskwelahan ay wala namang particular rules and guidelines on that, hindi nila pwedeng memohan yung mga empleyado nila. But if this policies and guidelines is included also on what we call the technology asset agreement natin dun sa empleyado natin, pag ginawa na yun doon, pwede siyang mamemuhan ng HR. So such conduct would include the placing of unlawful information on a system and the use of abusive and other objectionable language in other public and private messages. The sending of messages that are likely to result in the loss of recipients' work or systems. Ito yung I remember meron kami isang teacher, although very inspiring naman po yung mga messages na sinesend niya every morning. She is always sending a chain letter to the organization. So ibig po sa lahat, if yung nasa domain na yun, yung at ceu.edu.ph, lahat nakaka-receive nung email niya. Then every morning, di siya nakakalimot, nagbibigay siya lagi ng mga inspirational thoughts and quotes na makakapag-inspire sa mga empleyado ng organization. Wala naman pong problema pag ganun ang ginagawa natin. But If we are sending a chain letter, like for example, yung mga nare-receive natin na mga messages sa ating mga cellphones or naglalagay ng mga nagbibigay ka ng mga blockchain letter na may halong curse, that is ano po, very unlawful dun sa organization or sa institution. So, messages to list or individual in any types of use which cause the congestion of network and otherwise interfere with work of others. Sometimes po, we should respect yung time ng mga nagbabasa sa email. Kasi minsan, sinasama natin sila sa email thread, wala naman silang kinalaman po doon sa messages na isinesend natin. So here are the basic rules. So prompt response. So katulad din po kanina, so we have should be indicated the subject in the subject field. Meron tayong tinatawag na proper addressing, most especially if we are talking to our school officials. But I always I always encourage kahit po colleague lang natin yung kausap natin or ka-level lang natin sa organization, it is really important that we address the individual in a respectful manner. So ibig sabihin po, yung meron kunyari, for example, Dear Dr. Neri, greetings, di naman po yung gusto nyo, yung greetings with love and peace or something like that. Then you start with your message. So parang na-address kasi natin and in a professional way yung colleague natin. And most especially when we are addressing and sending a message to the school officials of the institution or in another company. Okay? Then yun yung tinatawag po nating level of formality kasi in our organization. We are all professionals working in the organization, and we are entitled to have this particular type of of proper addressing sa atin. Then they mentioned also yung to, yung from, BCC or the blind carbon copy. Sometimes ginagawa po natin yung nagbibigay tayo ng blind carbon copy. So sa amin ang practice po nito, once we use the blind carbon copy, ito yung mga for example sa higher authority ng isang institution, ang sinendan mo ay yung for example the office of the president. Of course si sir or ma'am president meron siyang mga secretary and staff na nandun sa offices. And minsan, of course, alam natin kung gaano ka busy ang schedule ng mga nasa executive position. So, ginagawa natin, binibigyan natin ng kopya yung staff niya doon sa office. So ibig sabihin, alam ng secretary niya na nag-send tayo ng message kay executive officer ng organization or ng school. And yung reply to all po na field can make or break you. Sometimes po I don't know kung sa case po ni Shanghai Shek ine-encourage nila ito. Meron siyang positive side, yung reply to all. For example po, si Dean Neri, nagbigay siya ng message para sa lahat ng mga estudyante ng Center for Continuing Professional Education. Of course, lahat tayo makaka-receive kung estudyante kayo or staff kayo dun sa sa department. Pag nag-reply to all tayo, yung reply mo, supposedly kay Dr. Neri na nag-send ng message, mababasa ng lahat. But pag ang pinindot mo lang ay reply to, specific doon sa taong nag-send ng message, siya lang yung nakakatanggap. Sometimes po kasi majority ng nangyayari kapag meron tayong mga general message, so ang pinipindot po ng mga nagre-reply, reply to all. So ang nangyayari, yung sinendan ng message nung nag-send, pag nag-reply ka, marireceive din nila yung reply ng tao na yon. Okay, so the formatting, the attachment, and using previous email for the new correspondence. So make sure that every time that we communicate using this email, so kunyari for example, hindi pa po natin na-achieve yung approval coming from the higher authority ng institution or ng organization, wag po tayong gagawa ulit ng panibagong email thread for that. Kasi nagsimula yung email mo on seeking for an approval. And of course, yung approval ng mag-a-approve na tao dun sa email na yun or sa letter na yun ay dun niya iduduktong dun sa first correspondence of email na kinreate natin. Kahit na po na ilang araw na yung nakakalipas, tapos mag-follow up tayo, do not write another email thread for that. Kasi it will lead to confusion po dun sa mag-a-approve na tao. Minsan baka may hahanapin siyang attachments or may hahanapin siyang mga documents na in relation to dun sa pinapaabrabahan nating correspondence, wala dun sa sinend natin na panibago. Then spam, yung technology naman natin ng mga email messages ngayon, nakokontrol naman natin yung mga spam. Madami po yan. Every time po na magbubukas tayo ng email, lalo na kapag kung free email po yung gamit natin, no? Nandyan na po yung mga marketing ano ng mga banks, credit cards, and other financial institution, magsasend po yan ng magsasend ng mga spam message sa inyo. And of course, the email signature. It is really important. Stating your name, your contact number, and your affiliation, or maybe what is your position to the organization. So, in Conolo's Bills of Rights naman po, this is pertaining to the rights and responsibilities as electronic learners. So now we are facing the new normal in education, no? Um, and we consider ourselves as not only a digital natives or digital citizens. We are all already as a global citizens. Because we are communicating not only with our co-Filipino here in the Philippines, but also some educators and some of our loved ones and relatives abroad. And there is also a collab in online learning, no, sa ginagalawan po natin ngayon na online learning. Possible na po yung tinatawag natin na mga collaboration with other educators around the globe. So this statement of Netiquette Guidelines by Connolly entitled The Intellectual Honesty in the Era of Computing. And these are the most common known netiquette rules as follows. Number one, use business language and write professionally in all work-related messages. Of course, I think uh, we have different setup po. No? For example, in CEU, English is the medium of instruction. So therefore, the business language, wherever we communicate to our teachers and to our students and to our officials, we use the English as the second language. But I think in Chiang Kai-shek College, since this is a Chinese school, there is also a Chinese language in as part of your business language. And of course, we have to remember that our message may be printed or forwarded to other people. Yan po yung dapat very careful tayo. Minsan, send tayo ng send ng message, pero hindi natin alam yung pinagsendan natin na wala naman siyang kinalaman doon sa message na yon. Pwede niya yon i-forward sa ibang individual. But of course, we are now protected, but we are already protected by the data privacy law. So very careful na po ngayon ang mga tao sa organization when forwarding messages and forwarding some vital information ng isang tao or ng organization. So we have to proofread and correct errors in our message before sending it. Luckily, if we are using an email platform, whether Gmail, Yahoo, or Outlook, meron ng meron na tayong pwedeng install na third-party application or third-party app. So in my case, I'm using Grammarly. So every time that I send a message, kapag medyo may mali ng konti doon sa construction ko ng message ko doon sa body ng message, automatic mayroong sinasuggest si Grammarly as a third-party application na naka-built doon sa aking computer or sa browser. So ngayon po, hindi na po mahirap mag-construct ng email. But of course, know the body and know the thought ng inyong sinesend na message. Baka naman mamaya construct tayo ng construct. Mm, yung isinasuggest na pala sa atin wala namang kinalaman doon sa totoong gusto nating sabihin or i-message doon sa tao. Do not use capital letters. I mentioned this a while ago because this connotes to shouting. So keep in mind that your reader does not have the benefit of hearing your tone and voice and facial clues. Of course, in the digital world po talaga no, ang pagsusulat ng in all capital letters at masama pa doon nilagyan niyo pa ng tatlong exclamation point. It connotes to shouting talaga. So remember that the time, date, and reply address are added automatically to your email messages. So therefore, you do not need to type this information. Okay po. So I think yung mga nagagawa ng letter, although ina-attach na natin yung document file ng letter natin na gusto natin ipa-approve, pero once na naggagawa tayo ng letter mismo dun sa construction dun sa email box, we put nilalagyan pa rin natin ng date. So technically po, dapat daw po hindi na nilalagyan dahil automatically naman meron siyang system date, alam ng intended receiver ng iyong message kung kailan mo sinend at anong oras mo sinend yung email message mo sa kanya. So always include an appropriate subject line in an email. Very important daw po talaga ang subject line. Paulit-ulit po yan na sinasabi sa mga guidelines ng Netiquette and especially in the digital communication. And response promptly to an email. Most especially po kung ang email ay very important or very urgent. So minsan po kasi no, dahil kakilala natin yung nag-send sa atin ng email, ay mamaya ko na siya sasagutin. Hanggang sa natabunan na po na natabunan yung email messages na sinend sa inyo. Okay? Then what number 3, the netiquette in education. Now, ito po this is some tips for an educational institution na pwede pala siyang maging programa or flagship program ng isang educational institution like us. So because in several universities, Netiquette is taught through courses. So graduates receive certificates, and for example, the university in Louisville in Delphi Center in US, they organizes student seminar on Netiquette. So get in right for professional email. So ito po katulad po nito, nagsama-sama tayo dito for this talk about digital netiquette. But in their case, talagang they offer it as a learning course. So during the course, student learn the following. Number 1, to avoid unintended harsh tone of expression in email. To write emails that increase and not decrease professional image of the writer. Send clear and concise reports. To send email without clerical errors. Yan. To write email faster and better. And organization of email reports. So, for example, introduction, body, and conclusion. I think our communication and language teachers will be able to relate on this because I remember during my high school days, we have the what we call subject business correspondence. No, we learn how to write different types of letters and communication. But now, kasi because we are now in the digital world, the traditional way of writing a letter, we transform it in a digital form. Ayun nga yung tinatawag po nating email. To control email etiquette and principles. So hindi lang naman po sa email may etiquette, even sa paggamit ng internet at sa pakikipag-usap natin sa online, like for example in using this type of digital platform. To select appropriate style of tone and written of expression. To format reports for easier reading by the recipient. And the use of attachment only when it is necessary. There are some companies and schools once they lend the email account for their employees or their people, automatic yun, naka-configure dun sa system nila na meron ng data privacy notice or disclaimer sa ilalim ng email every time na mag-create ng email messages yung kanilang mga empleyado. And of course, they are entitled to have their digital signature when their name, their position, their affiliation, their contact details is also included. So bakit siya meron pong tinatawag na data privacy disclaimer, no? Kasi once we send an email, meron po siyang mga vital information na nandoon sa ilalim. Like for example, in my case, every time that I send a message, nakikita niyo po yung email address ko dun sa baba, yung contact number ko, at saka po yung company and position and affiliation. So nandun po. Then some of them uh, put their company logo. Okay, so ang nagko-configure naman po niyan ay yung Information and Communications Technology Office ng organization. So students are encouraged to enroll in a 2-week courses of advanced technical communication. So students are led to enroll in a course which can help them effectively conclude the technical communication program without the disturbance to the main study of program. So most probably ang concept po nitong course na to and the design of instruction or design of training in the course itself is to the expected to write technical documentation in their professional career, especially to those who want to work in an area of science, technology, and business. Imagine po, no, sometimes kahit graduate na po ng baccalaureate degree yung isang estudyante, medyo may lacking po when it comes to technical communication. Kasama po ito sa isa sa mga requirements ng organization or ng company, not only the communication skills itself, 'di ba? Yung ating critical thinking, which is part of the 21st century skills. Of course, our technical communication that involves on uh, how to use this type of technology. So, a certificate from an area of technical communication which can be stated in their CV. So, pag nakita po ito ng mga employer, iba, natutuwa sila kasi hindi na nila ite-train itong tao nito when it comes to technical communication. And expands their job opportunities since most of the scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs devote significant part of their time to study, reading, or writing technical documentation. So students are with interest in a career in the technical field, for example, in the science research, trade, and industry. Experienced technical communicator with a strong background in this area is desired in the labor market. Actually, in the fourth industrial revolution, it is also mentioned, no, na ang technical communication is part po talaga ng computing era natin ngayon sa 21st century. And ang earning po ng mga yan is higher than the earning of many other engineers and scientists. So a group of professionals who need increase their technical skills and communication skills and thereby their added value within the organization in which they are work, or those who want to change their jobs or who have ambition to move vertically and transversely in their current work. So several companies require their employees po to steadily increase their soft skills. So I think in an IT company or BPO or business process outsourcing company, before they formally induct the trainee or the employee to the main training, they provided what we call the 1 week soft skills training. So through personal and professional development of their employees. Yun nga po yung nakakatuwa doon, no? During our college days, even in our basic education, tinuturuan na tayo ng English as a second language para ma-enhance and mapaigay yung ating soft skills. But still, di ba, pagdating pa rin po natin, pag graduate na tayo at mag-apply tayo ng trabaho sa company, part pa din po ito ng kanilang professional development program. So, Netiquette in Education is a complex technical communication program aimed at these areas. So, sabi nila, elements of technical writing, parts are that are used in write of technical documentation, the forms of technical writing. So the student will be able to understand on how to design and write various final products. Example po yung mga laboratory report, specific documentation, proposals, user manuals, websites, and many more. Most especially yung one of the uh, growing demand po ngayon, no, sa IT din, no, sa industry, hindi po sa educational institution, yung mga managerial position nila such as project management professional, agile engineer, they require po yung high technical communication skills because they are handling projects, they are handling people, and they will handle specific documentation and relevant information regarding the project. So they create also complex documentation on that. So technical communication is a process po of gathering technical information and presenting to their target group in a clear, useful, and accurate and complete and grammatically correct and easy understandable form. So the term technical includes in scientific, mechanical, chemical, legal, economic, medical, procedural, and other specialized information. But even in our we are in the academic sector, we are also adhered to have a technical communication. So IT companies operating a globally, the IT address IT companies have the following common features. So they represent the international IT company. Email communication is a widespread form of communication in society, and they use professional email communication with customer. Ito po na-mention po kanina, hindi tayo paniniwalaan ng receiver or recipient ng ating email messages kung ang pinoportray natin na domain ng email natin ay hindi naka-configure dun sa organization. Pag nakita po kasi nila na ang email na ginagamit natin, for example, kapag meron tayong general communication na binibigay sa kanila ay uh, free email platforms such as at Gmail, at Yahoo, at Outlook, medyo naghihinala sila. Pero kapag you represent po the organization, like for example, yung domain ng school or yung domain ng company, yun po yung ano nila, yung mas preferred nila. Naniniwala talaga sila na this is a legit communication. So, Netiquette in Education. So, here in the Philippines po, no, just so baka meron pong taga-graduate ng Mapua po dito ng Mapua University. Mapua University is the first educational institution in the Philippines that offers Bachelor of Science in Technical Communication. So according to their website, this program is a fusion of traditional Mapua strength, engineering, technology, education, and the emerging strength of English proficiency. So the program provides the student a strong foundation of liberal arts education to prime them to be a core of the program. So the integration of communication principles and practices with a concept in science, business, information and computing sciences and engineering technology. So ang aim nila po dito ay makapag-develop ng students to ability to think clearly, analytically, and can communicate with the technical and scientific information to wide audience range from expert to lay. So the graduates of this program may be hired as technical writer, copywriter, designers, and editors of newsletters, brochures, manuals, and websites, designers of sales, and so forth. Hindi lang po marketing ang nag-evolve. Kanina po, minention po ni Sir Aldrin sa kanyang opening, no, that we are now in the digital age talaga. Nandiyan na yung tinatawag natin digital marketing. Halos lahat po ng mga transactions talaga natin, most especially ngayon pandemic, laging online. So part po yun ang tinatawag nating hindi lang ng electronic commerce kundi ng tinatawag nating digital marketing. Yung digital marketing, yung mga strategy na ginagamit nila, hindi yung dati na nakahinat na natin na marketing management. Ngayon, they evolve also, they transform also the concept of marketing management into marketing communication, something like that. Okay, then the last one for the part one is the 10 commandments of computer technology. So sa computer po, sa ginagalawan natin in our digital world, no, meron po tayong tinatawag na 10 commandments in computer technology. So this 10 commandments is developed by the Computer Ethics Institute in Washington DC for computer professionals for social responsibility as part of our social responsibility as a digital citizen, a global citizen. And it maintains in the list of the current links of a website devoted to computer ethics on the internet. So, nandiyan po yung website. It's www.cpsr.org. Uh, so, number one, according to them, thou shall not use a computer to harm other people. Of course, di po natin ginagamit ang computer. Ginagamit po natin ang computer para makatulong sa atin, sa mga gawain natin, sa operations po ng school, sa operations po ng company, but not to harm our colleagues and other people. Thou shall not interfere with other people's computer work. In a BPO industry po kasi naka-network lahat ng computers, no? And it is secured by a username and password. So, of course, kunyari, no, nang mangyari po, alam natin yung username and password ng ating kasamaan sa trabaho and even in the email. So, dapat po hindi natin sinishare yun kasi data privacy po yun, di ba? So, kailangan po, for example, yung intended station na yun, ng computer na yun ay sa'yo lang. So, walang ibang pwedeng mangingialam nun, kundi yung tao lang na nag-access nun. Not unless you give an authority or permission to your secretary or to your colleague to use your computer station. Thou shall not snoop around in other people's computer files. Kung ginamit po natin yung computer, wag po natin pakialaman yung mga document folder niya, yung mga files niya na nandun. Nakigamit na nga lang po tayo, papakialamanan pa natin kung ano, baka mamaya pinakikialaman na natin yung mga pictures sa picture folder, tapos tinitignan natin yung mga pictures na files na nandun sa computer unit na yon ng hindi tayo nagpapaalam sa may-ari ng computer. Thou shall not use a computer to steal. So alam naman po natin sa internet world natin ngayon, napakadami pong mga electronic fraud, maraming mga internet fraud na nangyayari. So sana po kung nababasa ito ng mga taong gumagawa niyan, di ba? So they are guided sana. Thou shall not use a computer to bear false witness. Okay? Then number 6, thou shall not copy or use proprietary software for which you have not paid. Okay, ngayon po ang technology natin is more about subscription na, no? Because we are migrating to what we call the cloud computing or cloud technology. But before kasi, yung mga computer stations po natin, di ba, we are installing an operating system and software packages such as Microsoft Office. And I know some of you po, alam nila na talamak po talaga dati yung paggamit ng mga non-licensed software. So according to the 10 commandments of computer technology, this is also a sin in the internet world. So ngayon po subscription, like for example, we subscribe in our G Suite for Education kung gumagamit tayo ng Gmail sa school, Office 365 for Education pag gumagamit tayo ng Microsoft technology naman dun sa ating institution. Number 7, thou shall not use other people's computer resources without authorization and proper compensation. Yan po. Nangyayari din po yan, di ba? Most especially po, hindi lamang sa computer, even po sa mga gadgets natin. Especially pag yung gadget natin nawala, no, or nanakaw. May mga possibilities kasi na yung laman-laman ng ating gadget or ng ating ay a-access ng kung sino-sinong tao. But of course, um, every time that we access these computer resources, we should have a proper authorization po dun sa may-ari ng device or ng gadget or ng unit. Number 8, thou shall not appropriate other people intellectual output. Ayan po yung kunyari may nakita tayong materials sa internet kasi talamak naman po ang pag-upload ng mga work natin sa internet tas walang pangalan. Ginawa mo, inangkin mo na siya kasi wala namang may-ari nung ah, file na yon o ng ano na yon. Hindi mo malaman kung sino yung author. So it's a ano po, it's a form of plagiarism then in other part. So thou shall not think about the social consequences of program you are writing or the system you are designing. So, and number 10, thou shall not always use the computer in a ways that ensure the consideration and respect for your fellow humans. So, I hope that these 10 commandments of computer technology will be a guiding principle or a set of rules or guidelines and policies for each educational institution and companies. Kasi lahat na po dito sa 10 na to, mame-mention na lahat ng mga gusto nating ipagbawal or gusto nating sundin ng ating mga employer ng mga tao natin sa organization. This will be a guide not only as a 10 commandment but also compliant to the what we call ethics in the internet world or what we call the netiquette. Okay? Then I go to part 2 na po. So the part 2 is about health and wellness. Although I'm not a doctor po, no, I'm not the one who will give you some medical advice on that particular, and even I'm not a registered guidance counselor or a psychologist that will give you a some tips for mental health. But what I did is to give you some tips to use technology to manage your well-being in compliance to what we call the health and wellness. So have you heard the saying, we are all in the same storm but we are in different boats. So people experience a variety of challenges right now. In this time of pandemic, iba-iba pong klase ng stress, depression, at ano po ang nararamdaman nating mga Pilipino. But I believe that uh, Filipino are very resilient po, no, kahit na anong unos or anumang kalamidad at bagyo ang dumating sa atin, masasayahin pa rin po tayo mga tao. And I think that is the one of the isa pong strength ng pagiging Pilipino natin. Yung yung nandito tayo sa Pilipinas because of our culture na ginagalawan. So mental health awareness is important during this time of pandemic and in a new normal in education. And we wanted to share some best practices of technology related to tips of help reduce stress and anxiety. I forgot to say anxiety po kanina, no? Yeah. I remember one of my friend po. Naisugod po siya sa hospital nito lang dahil naninikip po yung kanyang dibdib dahil sa sobrang daming ginagawang trabaho sa public school. Then okay naman yung mga series of tests niya, yung laboratory testing niya, yung blood pressure niya okay naman din. And the doctor said to him, it's anxiety. So meron lang pong parang in-inject daw sa kanya, then hindi naman siya na-confine, pinauwi naman siya kagad. So maybe ito po yung mga nararamdaman po ng ating mga teachers not only in the public school sector but also mind din natin, no, maybe baka po ito yung nararamdaman din ng mga teachers natin in the private school sector. So tip number 1 for the health and wellness, keep a schedule. So having a set of schedule during the week can be a comfort. So giving your days of structure, balance and purpose. Use basic scheduling templates. So one of the example in our email platform, we have calendar, 'di ba? Both Gmail and Outlook or Office 365 has a built-in calendar to do up. So nakasync po ito sa ating email platform. Whether anong platform ang gamit natin, whether Gmail or Outlook. To plan your day and include a self-care na sinasabi natin. Here are some things to consider including in your schedule. Shower and get dressed. This simple ritual can help kickstart your day. Okay, then focus time. This is the time when you're not on conference call and you can get your work done. So daily movement, it could be an intense workout, some stretching, relaxing walk, and listen to your body and to see what is needed that day. Ako po in my own experience no in our kasi we are working from home, hindi kami lagi-laging pumupunta sa school, but twice a week nandun po sa school sa Malolos. So I find time po no para makapag exercise and kahit paano makapag-relax kasi po kahit nasa bahay ka nakaka-feel pa din po tayo ng what we call stress dahil sa mga ginagawa natin na makababad tayo online maghapon. So since meron kaming building na 5-story building doon, so inaakit ko po yan, iniikot ko. Dual purpose po yung ginagawa ko sa kanya. Chine-check ko na din po yung mga rooms and mga offices namin kung nagkakaroon po ba ng problema dahil wala naman nag-occupy ngayon. So it's a part of my monitoring scheme dun sa aming campus. And in the same time, nakakapag-exercise po ako. Pag inikot ko po yung dalawang building ng balikan. So social time, ito yung medyo nawala na po kasi sa atin dahil nung wala pang pandemic, kapag nasa office tayo, hindi naman po tayo maghapon na nakatutok sa ating mga computer. Meron tayong mga tinatawag na social time sa mga colleague natin sa office, konting kwentuhan, konting tawanan habang nagmimerienda. But in this time of pandemic po, no, medyo nalimitahan yan although meron na bumabalik sa mga offices and workplace, but still limited po yung actions natin. Hindi tayo pwedeng magtabi-tabi, hindi pwedeng sabay-sabay kumain lahat, 'di ba? Dahil sisitahin tayo nung safety officer natin doon sa institution natin. So, time to catch up with friends and family over video calls. Actually, sobra-sobra po tayo dito dahil everyday, how many video calls po ba ang nagagawa natin everyday because of meetings with our faculty, with our subordinates, and with our immediate supervisor. So, meron din tayong tinatawag po na me time. Me time, maybe it's your morning coffee or soak in the tub in the end of the day, but make sure that you curb some time just for yourself. So, ako po kapag nag-work from home kayo, no, I know some of us dito sa loob ng virtual room natin, hindi naman coffee lover lahat. But for me po, no, every afternoon, right after mag-lunch, a glass of coffee gives me full of energy. And bukod po sa I don't like laging kumain ng chocolate because it will lead to it will lead to sugar naman. So pag medyo diabetic ka, for sa coffee naman, it's okay. So for me it gives me a lot of energy and to perform my work kahit nandito sa bahay at kung nandun sa office. So non-screen time, to read a book, play a game, do a puzzle, enjoy your hobby, and more. So minsan po kasi nakakalimutan natin. Maghapon na nga tayong nakaharap sa computer natin because of our work. Pag nagpahinga tayo, ano po yung hawak natin? Cellphone na naman. So, ganun din po 'yon. It will lead you to stress or in other parang sabi ng mga eye care professionals, pwede ka pang magkaroon ng digital eye strain yan kasi kapag ikaw ay humarap sa mga gadgets or computer mo ng more than 8 hours a day, hindi na po yun healthy sa katawan natin. So mental health is a family practice. Get your kids involved in creating a shared family schedule in Outlook so that they have a sense of ownership and control. Help your children find the right kind of self-care and to learn best practices for a lifetime. In this time of pandemic po, magkakasama po tayo sa bahay ng family natin. We can utilize those technology and type of different platforms that we had in our cell phones, in our computer, to teach them and to teach ourselves also na magkaroon tayo ng mga best practices sa bahay gamit-gamit itong mga technology na ito. And yung tinatawag nating sense of ownership and control for your children o yung sa mga nakakabata sa atin. Number two, check in how people are doing. So make it a habit. Check regularly with your family, friends, and coworkers with it's a Microsoft form. So for example, in our case, we created a Microsoft forms that will ask them a survey, a quiz, or poll. Very quick ano lang po, quick questions na mag-a-answer yung mga empleyado, or sometimes we post it in our group chat, we posted in our Microsoft Teams or something like that. And minsan po nagiging creative na din yung mga empleyado namin, no? For example, meron kaming this is the game for today. Then they showcase their answer, their video, para lang ano, then we should declare a winner for that, no? So as part of a motivation dun sa mga empleyado natin. According to Mark Brackett, an author of Permission to Feel, the more precise we are labeling our emotion, the better we'll be at regulating them. So create your poll using some words of mood, the mood meter, which is featured in his book. So Brackett is a founding director of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. So in our case po sa amin sa school, because we are offering basic education, complete basic education program, K to 12, majority of our learners from the grade school, preschool, and junior high school. Kasi po yung senior high school natin, iba yung level na nila, no? Para na silang nasa tertiary level. We uses the what we call the sa school, sa guidance po namin. It's an application that it's built in our Microsoft Teams as part of our learning management system, o yung aming application po na ginagamit. School Days po yung tawag doon. So yung School Days po is a tools or a technology tools for the guidance counselor, para hindi naman lagi siya yung kinokontak ng yung guidance counselor po, na stress din yan pag sobrang dami niyang kliyente. Because of this technology, yung mga estudyante namin, they find themselves kung sino yung kakausapin nila in a form of an application. So nakakapag-ease po ito ng nila, ng kanilang emotion. And yung kung meron silang mga gustong i-consult with our guidance counselor. So remember, not every poll needs to be about people's emotion. So ano lang po siya, kino-consider lang siya. But to add some fun, try creating polls on music, anong lunch ninyo for today, then parang pag-uusapan ninyo bakit kaya every Friday, very common ang mga Filipino, they cook ginisang munggo, then dalagang bukid or tilapia every Friday. What is the concept behind that? So the TV shows and whatever you want. So keep kids on track. Use family safety app, preview or website to make sure your kids, ito po para sa may mga bata sa bahay, no? Your kids are finding balance too. So set screen time limits for specific app, sites, and games, and make sure that they are viewing sites appropriate for their age. And review family safety reports to see how much time they are really spending on their devices. Most especially where we are allowing our students to use our gadgets such as mga iPad or tablets na ginagamit din nila sa kanilang online schooling. But remember po, no, na connected to sa internet. So pwedeng meron silang ma-access na hindi nila dapat ma-access. So there is a certain technology or tools that that you can as parent that you can use, and they called it as Bark. So Bark monitor your children's well-being. So makikita nyo po yan sa bark.us. And, ano po yung Bark na ito na application? It will sends alert when potential users arises with your kids. So parang itong website na to, parang inano mo siya, binlock mo siya doon sa na hindi kailangan ma-access ng anak mo, ng mga kids sa bahay. So it will notify you na nag-configure ng platform na to sa kanyang device. So it will prevent also cyberbullying, online predators, saka yung mga suicidal thoughts and more. So remember po yung news natin last year, I think last year, yung isang nag-circulate sa social media, no, yung mga bata natin na parang china-challenge sila, nasaktan yung kanilang mga sarili. So pwede natin siyang ma-prevent po using this type of technology. So tips number 4, 5, and 6, get things done. There's something need to be about checking things off your to-do list, like cleaning out your basement or garage, finally dialing in the backyard or deck. So yung mga plantitos and plantitas po natin dyan. Okay? So for me, in my case po, no, one of my one of the form of my exercise dito sa bahay ay yung maglinis po ng sasakyan at punasan instead na magpa-car wash pa sa labas. So nakakatulong. At of course, it's a form of pagtitipid na din, no? So pero I find it very ano po dahil pinagpapawisan ka para din sa health natin. So joy can come up accomplishing things. So to do up, like I said a while ago, the free and perfect keeping track plus sync with your email platform. So you can easily track your do's for work and home. It's just like ano po yung ano, before we use the organizer, 'di ba? Sinusulat natin yung mga to-do list natin, yung mga task natin. Now, we are because we are in the digital world, ganun na rin po yung organizer natin, electronic organizer na din. So number 5, connect with friends and family remotely. If you're feeling isolated, get some fun. So example po niyan yung mga Skype video, yung ating video with our social media like Facebook video. So, 'di ba, sometimes to ano, in our family kapag meron tayong mga families and loved ones abroad, 'di ba, we do group call, then some kwentuhan ng konti, 'di ba? It will ano po nakakatulong sa ating ano din mind na nakakalimutan natin yung mga bigat na dinadala natin for example sa trabaho. So like a happy hour with our friends or family can over the weekend. So more ideas, read about creative ways to connect. So learn something new. If you don't already have the hobby or pastime to pursue, now this is the great time to trying something new that pique your interest. So not sure what you want to try, but here are some places to start. Crafts or hobbies. Of course, for teachers, they conduct online classes, art projects, 'di ba? Okay? So for us in a graduate school, no, one of the strengths siguro na masasabi ko doon sa batch na amin sa pag-aaral ko ngayon, every time that we have a research project or assignments with our subject facilitator, we find time every weekend po bago mag Saturday and Sunday. We find time po kahit po late na after office hours, nagmi-meet kaming magkakaklase and nag-share kami ng aming mga ideas and thoughts. So it's a collaborative work po. It will help us kasi remember sometimes yung strength mo hindi strength ng iba, yung weakness mo strength ng iba. So it's a ano po, it's a win-win solution for a suffering graduate school student. So sabi nga nila ang hirap daw mag-aral sa graduate school kapag mag-isa ka lang at wala kang kaibigan na kasama. Number 7, if the future seems uncertain, plan it out. So when things are very much up in the air, it can be comforting to write your thoughts or even a plan. So instead of letting your mind spin over the word of the web or OneNote and try some mitigation plans, whatever you're worrying about. So use broad strokes that can predict the future. So there is no need to describe every detail or option. So rest easier knowing that you have a plan that you can refer later if indeed. So meron po tayong tinatawag na ano no sa mga technology na ginagamit natin ngayon, especially in Office 365. There is a journaling templates that can help you to get your thoughts down. So isa po diyan yung write a journal, mindfulness journal, saka bullet journal. Yung dalawa po diyan I think for free, yung isa po ay proprietary. So kailangan mong mag-subscribe for that platform para makuha mo siya sa Microsoft. So number 8, keep presentation anxiety at bay. You may find yourself steeped in new methods of working from home and having adapt quickly to these technologies. But help reduce any remote presentation and online jitters with presenter coach and PowerPoint. So get in the habit of taking practice runs through your slides, and presenter coach will give you a report and suggestion for improvements or things like packing, pitch, filler words, euphemism, and culinary sensitive terms. And number 9 and 10, when you are done work to be done, it can be tempting to check that email one of more time and evening or over the weekend. So I know yung some of you po dito pag weekend no, nagseset po ng automatic reply sa email nila na ayaw talaga nilang nagpapa istorbo during the weekend. Most especially for yung weekend sa kanila is family time from them. So make sure that you're taking care of everything and no one is left hanging until tomorrow. Instead, set up an automatic reply for your email platforms such as Outlook or Gmail to let your coworkers know you're done for the day and we'll get back to them later. So that's the way people you know that expect, and you can relax knowing that you're set expectations. And lastly, disconnect and recharge. With so many online meetings every day, happy hours, calls with friends, and binge watching, screen fatigue is a real thing. So put down your devices every day for a while. Doing this at night is a great way to wind down before bed. Here are some ideas on what to do instead. So read a book or a printed magazine, work on a project, step outside deck, or enjoy the birds, plants, sky trees, and cook a healthy meal and listen to music that really listen to with no other distraction. Ako po, on the listed disconnect and recharge strategy, no, ang talaga pong nakakapag-calm sa akin and nakakapag-recharge ay also listening to the music. So kahit di po ako manood ng TV, basta makinig lang ako ng music, okay na po ako, natatanggal po ang stress sa aking katawan. Okay, so allow me to share you a short video about being a good digital citizen.
No matter where you go online, being a good digital citizen can make your online experience much smoother and safer. Thankfully, you can become a better digital citizen in just a few steps. First, always treat others as you'd like to be treated. As you go through forums, comment sections, and social media, remember you're interacting with real people. So be respectful and speak as you would if you were face-to-face. Insulting, bullying, or arguing with people only makes things worse, and that sort of negativity can have real-life consequences. Next, don't feed the trolls you meet. Trolls are people who enjoy aggravating or arguing with others, and they're found in comment sections, message boards, or anywhere else that can cause disruption. Unfortunately, they're also fairly common. If you encounter a troll, it's best not to interact with them, as any response will likely encourage them to continue their behavior. Don't take material that doesn't belong to you. Although it seems easy to claim others' work for your own use, you still need permission to use material that isn't yours. Always think carefully about what you post online. Remember that once you submit something, you lose control of it, whether it's a message board post or a text message. That's one big reason why your digital footprint can last for many years. So don't post anything that could hurt you if someone found it years later. Be incredibly careful with your personal info. Avoid posting sensitive information such as your mailing address, phone number, or driver's license number, as some people may try to use that information to take advantage of you. Whenever you're in doubt whether something is safe to post online, don't post it. Finally, don't believe everything you read online. Always take the time to investigate claims and confirm their reliability, especially if they seem extraordinary. That also means you shouldn't share unconfirmed info on social media, or else you could be spreading misinformation. Essentially, being a good digital citizen means you're respectful and safe wherever you go online.
GCF.
Okay, so before I end my presentation, allow me po to give you some quotes from Germany Kent. The first is the freedom of speech doesn't justify online bullying. Words have the power, and be careful how you use them. And do not promote negativity online, and expect people to treat you with positivity in person. So thank you very much po for listening, and thank you very much po Chiang Kai-shek College, a Center for Continuing and Professional Education. Once again, good afternoon.